Hey guys, welcome back. Today, our YouTuber of choice is going to be Lisa Sarjazy, and Lisa is going to tell us who's mean to fat people. I think you're going to really enjoy this.
What would you call someone who is cruel, unkind, or unprofessional to someone else simply because the other person is overweight? After my gastric bypass operation, which was a revision from a lap band, but it wasn't lap. Lap is short for laparoscopic. This was a full incision, got me from stem to stern multiple times because the port had to be replaced, etc. Not the port, the band itself. Anyway, after the gastric bypass, I was in bad shape. I woke up in the ICU. Intensive care unit, yes. I had a hematoma. That's some huge bally infection at some point where they had surgeried me. I believe they sent me home too early, but it's possible, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, that I was sent home so that if something went wrong, like me expiring, it could be blamed on my action or inaction. Should have gone to the emergency room, wasn't following directions, was non-compliant. Well, look at the size of her. She had a death wish, because those are the things that were said about me. Anyway, after the surgery, after the bypass, woke up in ICU, sent home too early, was in pain and feverish, asked my mother, please bring me back to the emergency room, where they pretty much said, well, what do you want us to do for you? I'm like, please admit me so that I can be treated by my surgeon in the morning. Please help me. I'm weak. I have a fever. I know I have an infection. I'm in pain. Please help me.
So I think this surgery happened way back in 2006 because I almost went with that video. This video itself is from just about a year or so ago, but you can tell it's still really fresh in her mind. So I know this is a horrible memory for her, so I hate to giggle, but you guys are really going to love how much she gets into this.
Well, it's not like we can reach your surgeon in the middle of the night. I understand, but he will be here in the morning, and so will I. So please, I don't know how we begged them to admit me. Like, why did I have to beg? I needed help. Okay, so, when you're admitted in the middle of the night, floor that's receiving you might not be too happy to see you because they've just added a patient. A difficult post-op patient. Though, was I really difficult? I was a doormat. I would bend over backwards to not be an inconvenience, but I was in desperate need of help. So the RN who came into my room while I'm stimming back and forth, making little noises and shivering, she says, Well, tell me, what are you feeling? What's going on? I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on.
Feel like shit. Okay, so Tanya Perez Velardo 2411 says, I've noticed a huge difference in the quality of healthcare after gastric bypass. Now they do every test. Now they can't use my weight as a reason for every health problem I have. Now I have access to tests. That's how I found out I have thyroid cysts. After I asked for my hormones to be checked for years, I don't allow to be gaslighted anymore.
What do you need? Like, really mean and impatient. I said, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Like, I was woozy. I was feverish. She said, well, can you be more specific? I said, I have a fever, and I'm in pain, and I feel weak. Please. It's not like she was kind to me even after that. I don't remember what she came back with. Probably Tylenol. I don't know what they came back with. Nothing of consequence.
Here's your Tylenol. That'll be $700. Did you want to pay now or later?
And no, I'm not going to take up a picket sign and campaign for the better treatment of fat people. I tried that. If you are part of the fat acceptance or body positivity club, you are frowned upon if you talk about weight loss. Now, I'm not saying everyone. There are reasonable people within that circle that will say, look, you want to lose weight because you want to feel better and you believe it makes you healthier. That's fine.
Did you guys see that? She could sense the cat, and something in her brain said, don't get in my scene. And that cat got the heck out of there. Did anyone see that? Let me know down in the comments.
Then they'll follow it up with, but don't talk about it here. Like, don't, not in our group, or don't, hashtag body positivity. Like, you can't sit at our lunch table if you're going to talk about losing weight. Okay. So what lunch table can I sit at? Where's my lunch table? How did a lunch table get so big? Where do I sit? With the weight loss crowd? Because if you're not working out 5 times a week and sticking with some whatever, diet or eating plan, and you're not stepping on the scale to show progress, they can be really unkind as well. I am working hard to be happy, healthy, whole, sane, to be spiritually enriched, to give back to the world with my talent. And it's hard. I don't have a spouse. I don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend or anything.
All right, let's fill in this blank. She doesn't have a spouse. She doesn't have a boyfriend or anything. She has a cat. She's going to say cat. That's my guess. What do you guys guess? Let me know down in the comments before I hit play.
My lovely and devoted and loyal friends. I have very good friends. And I have a supportive family. Not my mother. I'm supportive to her. If I never saw her again, she might wonder, where's my daughter been? Or have one of her aides text me to, pick up her latest whatever that she wants. Today it was Boost. The protein drink. She wanted Boost. I'm like, well, it's a holiday, so I don't know what's open, but Amazon's always open. I got her Boost. I have wonderful people in my life, and they are very supportive. But there was a time when I would walk out into the world and be mistreated just because of my size. Now, how do I know it was my size? Well, I'm a very pleasant, reasonable, almost doormatty, as I said before, person. So not like I'm difficult. And the more weight I lost over time, the nicer people were to me. I was not imagining that.
Okay, another one of her followers says, I've realized this world is very shallow. There's a girl at my work who's very bubbly and outgoing. I've noticed a lot of people treat others based on how they look, especially men. It really affected me and still affects me, but I feel more confident and less miserable ever since I lost weight. It's interesting how I see a woman at my work who's at least 360 pounds, who's very bubbly and outgoing, and doing amazing things because she's a music therapist. She's definitely much younger than me. So I think my generation, we had less obesity and thin was the ideal. I was between a size 10 and 14 in high school and hated wearing shorts because of how big my thighs were. But it seems the younger generation that are fat, they embrace body positivity and have no trouble living life to the fullest. I don't know why that sounds so funny to hear her say that. I couldn't live life to the fullest being 300 plus pounds. I was so embarrassed of how I looked. Now I feel better, but I'm still self-conscious. It might be a generational thing. Anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed Lisa's video. It's much longer, so I'm going to link it once again in the description so you can click on her videos, subscribe to her videos, because she's got so much more that I think you'll really love. I thought she was great. Lisa, if you're watching this, think about walking with us. And if you are watching this with us now, go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Well, good morning, Venters. It finally rained and kind of felt like a mini hurricane last night. We had high winds, we had rain. So now I come out and the sun is behind the clouds like it's gonna rain again. You can definitely feel humidity in the air. It's a little sticky feeling. But other than that, we survived, yay! So today, I saw a video that was a little disturbing because it was showing people that if you were to see them on the street, you would think, hey, this is just an average person. They don't mean any harm, right? But every single one of them was saying something to the effect of, hey, I wish that bullet that just barely missed Donald Trump, I wish that would have hit him. And when people say that, regardless of what side you're on, I feel like you're putting out really, really bad vibes, So remember, in life, you're gonna run into people that you dislike, And sometimes those people that you dislike, it might be on a political level, right? I dislike this person, I dislike that person, But what's really interesting is, do you really want your feelings about a particular person to change the person that you are, And when you start wishing bad upon people, and I've been guilty of this in the past too, not necessarily political figures, but sometimes when you have what you feel like is an enemy in life, sometimes you tell yourself, well, I wouldn't be upset if, the guy got the flu, or I wouldn't be upset if, the guy got divorced from his wife and, had a bad future life, But one thing I find is that a lot of times when you think these poisonous thoughts about other people, it almost never affects the other person. The only person it really affects is you. And I don't know about you, but if somebody caught me on a TV video that's gonna live forever saying those words, then what if anything bad ever happens to you? How could you expect anybody to ever feel sorry for you? You had those same feelings, those same intents. And again, take away Donald Trump from the equation, because that doesn't really matter. There's a lot of people out there that truly do wish bad upon others, And again, when I was younger, I've been just as guilty, But it's one of those things that it's really a shortcoming in us. We shouldn't think these horrible thoughts about anybody. If there's somebody rotting in jail because they, killed a family member or a friend, those are things where, for whatever reason, I can imagine having bad thoughts about those people, But at the same time, even though I'm not necessarily, a big fan of this person or that person, I don't want bad things to happen to people, And believe me when I tell you, and I'm sure a lot of you guys fall in the same category, I've had a lot of people that have gone out of their way in my lifetime. These people have gone out of their way to do bad by me, I've had enemies. A lot of times the people with the most enemies don't want to have any. It just kind of happens in life. When you're a happy-go-lucky person, sometimes people will mark you as their enemy. When you become a Christian, a lot of times you'll start to realize that this world kind of belongs to the devil, And even if you're not a Christian, as you get older and you start to get married and raise a family, you start to realize that, the world is full of not only decent people, but it's full of some pretty bad people as well. And a lot of times when we try to do the right things in life, we'll notice that we're all of a sudden in wars with people. So for some reason, when we're successful in life and we do the right things, you try to be charitable by others, people get very jealous of that. And people will want to drag you down. So that's the overall thought that I want for people that are contemplating becoming Christians in the future, because sometimes we're in that situation, right, where we're a non-believer and then we become a believer. I'm going to tell you that there's a warning that should come with that. And if you are a Christian, maybe you can either agree with me in the comments or you can disagree with me. But when you become a Christian, you're quickly going to find out that the world is not some object in the background that we walk on, right? The world is a group. It's an entity. It's a thought. And when you're on the good side of things, and when you try to do the righteous thing in life, you're going to realize that you create a lot of enemies. When you decide to be on the good side, that means you are on the opposite side of bad. Throw evil, throw sin, throw the devil out of the equation. Just look at it as in positive and negative vibes. When you go down the route of positivity and, hey, I want to be a good person in life, you're going to start to notice some strife. You're going to start to notice that some of your friends and your buddies aren't necessarily good friends and buddies anymore. It's really weird. You know, we watch videos on this channel about how people will lose weight. And unfortunately, the same time they're losing weight, they're losing friends. And sometimes we hear these people on videos say, you know what, good riddance. Get rid of those friends, right? And so I can agree with that when it comes to good and bad. If you've decided, hey, I'm going to turn a leaf in my life, I'm going to start doing things the right way, you might have to get rid of some friends that don't feel that same way about life, right? You have some friends that maybe are just career criminals, and maybe that was a part of your life once upon a time. You decide to go on the straight and narrow. Those good friends of yours might not be friends anymore. They might be against you. You start to become successful in life. Those friends in life where they were used to being on the bottom with you, they might get jealous of you, you know? That's why yesterday I was telling people, or over the last couple days, I tell people, when you're doing well in life, when you're on top of the world, don't forget about your friends that might be dwelling on the bottom. If you have an old friend from high school or college, or you have an old friend that you haven't connected with in a while, pick up the phone. Give them a call. Don't wait for people to pick up the phone and call you. Be a part of people's lives, you know? But at the same time, sometimes we do legitimately have to cut people out of our lives. Do I think we should cut people out of our lives if we decide we're going to go down the path of decency and they're going to stay going down the path of, you know, being a criminal or being a hardcore individual? Yeah, sometimes those people need to be cut out of your life. Do I think we need to cut people out of our life because they have a bad diet and we're trying to lose weight? No, I think that's actually one of the worst reasons to get people out of your life. You know, as we age, we naturally go our own routes, and sometimes we find ourselves in our 50s or 60s, and every one of our family members is no longer around, right? The kids have moved to another part of the country, and all of a sudden we're alone, and all we have is our church, or some people don't even have that, right? And for those people, you know, that can happen out of the blue. You can go one year where you have a bunch of friends and family, and then before you know it, you've got nobody. So why the heck would you want to get rid of any friends or family because they struggle with weight just like you do? You know? Does that mean that you want to go out with them every single weekend and, you know, take them to the restaurants where they go and pig out in front of you? No, you don't have to torture yourself. You don't have to hang out with them every day. But the reality is, when you become an adult, it's a blessing when you get to hang out with a friend. And if you're only hanging out with a friend once in a blue moon, what's it matter what their diet is? You know? I mean, think about this. We enjoy all the venters and talking to each other every morning. Could you imagine if we actually knew each other in person and, you know, maybe one or two venters, no matter what they did, they couldn't lose weight? Well, what are we going to do? Kick them out of the club? Heck no. Good morning. There's LeBeau taking her daily walk. Whether it's sticky outside or nice and beautiful outside, she's going to be outside walking with us. That's the key. So I was watching a video on YouTube this morning, only for a quick minute, and it was describing how a couple of those North Korean balloons that they send over with poop and stuff, it hit around the presidential palace in South Korea. I didn't know they had such a place, but I guess it makes sense, right? Every country has its leaders, right? And I'm thinking to myself, they're waiting until these balloons come down, and then they have all these scientists with gloves and goggles looking at the stuff from these balloons. And I can't help but think, one of these days, especially if we get into a hot war or a world war type situation, one of these days those balloons are going to have not only excrement from North Korea, but they're going to have some sort of hardcore disease. And so I guess what blows me away is that for South Korea just to wait until these balloons come down and then, waste all this money investigating all these balloons, why don't we set up some lasers that can pop up these balloons? And why don't you keep them right on the North Korean, South Korean border? And right when those balloons go up in the air, why don't you pop them while they're still in North Korea? At the same time, I don't think it's a good response just to watch as people, do these things to your country. It really sends a bad message to South Koreans. Now, some people might say, Jesse, you got to turn the other cheek. Yeah, turn the other cheek, but if one of those balloons land and it infects your people with some sort of disease that gets spread, then all of a sudden North Korea is not the bad guy. South Korea is. What do you mean, Jesse? Well, could you imagine if your government just watched as balloons that are poisoned fell to the populace? You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but if a balloon came from Canada and landed in my backyard and got not only us sick, but it set off this domino effect of sickness, because, let's be honest, that's the key to biological warfare, right? You want to make people sick. Well, right now they're sending balloons over, watching how with every balloon, South Korea does absolutely nothing. And what South Korea is going to do is they're going to probably wait until something bad happens. Now, that might be smart on a global scale, right? But you're already dealing with somebody that doesn't care what you think. So my thinking is, why don't you punish them? How do you do that, Jesse? Well, I don't think they're letting off the balloons right there at the border. They're probably letting it off miles into North Korea, and they're letting the winds push them down. You're telling me that nobody can watch those balloons as they're coming over and send a laser up to pop them while they're still in North Korea? Because I don't know about you, but if a Canadian balloon hit my backyard, got me sick as a dog, and got everybody else in the neighborhood and in the world, or in the US sick, I would be more pissed at my government for not stopping that balloon than I would for Canada for sending it. It's your enemy's job to do things that irk you and irritate you. It's not your job just to wait until they do something heinous, And so again, I don't want to spark World War III, but at the same time, I really hate how it seems like Western governments just kind of let shit happen, and it just comes across as reactive. I'm one of these guys that the older I get, I think whenever you're doing anything in a reactive sort of way, you've already lost. The best thing in life is to be proactive. Ooh, Jesse, let's take that over to our walks. Yes, Bob, let's. You're going to have a choice. You're going to be walking one of these days, whether you like it or not, whether you do it with us or not. You're going to be walking. Let me tell you why. Because one of these days you're going to see your doctor, and your doctor's going to say, you know what, Pamela? Let's go get you some lab work done. And you're going to go to this lab, right? Whether it's in his office or whether it's down the street. And you're going to give them your blood, and you might even give them a urine sample if you're applying for a job or something, right? But they're going to take your fluids, they're going to run them through, and they're going to find out that, hey, you've got high cholesterol, or you've got such and such a problem, you're overweight, you're this, that, and the other, and if you don't stop and start walking, you're going to be losing a leg to diabetes, you're going to be having some serious problems, you're going to have a heart attack or stroke. Start walking, or start planning your funeral. You guys realize people get conversations like that from their doctor every single day. And then you'll notice a new walking partner out. But your new walking partner isn't walking because walking makes them feel happy like it does with you. They're going to be walking because they were told, walk or else. So they're starting behind the 8 ball. They're being reactive. I challenge you, venters. Put your shoes on, get outside, attack this proactively. Attack what? The fact that you're aging and you're eventually going to have to be told to walk by your doctor if you don't start walking on your own. Walking is that magical thing that's been missing from your life. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick and tired of every single video we watch. It's somebody saying, when I was younger, I was skinny because I was active and I was on the cheerleading squad. Yay! Guys, how many times do you have to be told? When you're active, you're going to be your skinniest and you're going to be your healthiest. And right when you stop being active, you're going to start aging and you're going to start dying. You know, every single one of us is technically dying, right? Because after you're born, you grow, you age, you go through the circle of life, and eventually we're all going to take our last step and our last breath. So do you really need a doctor to tell you you're going to die in 6 months unless you change something? Or do you want to change something so the doctor never says that to you? I can feel Sean and Mala on their walk saying, yup, not me, Jesse, not me. I'm with you, Sean and Mala. I'm with you, Lily. Let's do this while we're young and we can do it. You know the difference between a healthy 50-year-old and an unhealthy 50-year-old? The healthy 50-year-old says, man, I still feel like I'm in my mid-30s. The unhealthy 50-year-old says, man, I feel like I'm 65 or 70. That's a 30-year difference. Do you want to feel like you're 35 when you're 50? Or do you want to feel like you're 65? Because one of the two is going to happen. So here's the thing. If you get your shoes on and walk with us, you will have a walking partner for the rest of your days. That's all you need. Sometimes it's easier to walk when you realize you're not the only one out here. But if you don't listen to us and you don't have a group that supports you, there's a lot of times where I feel like I'm the only one in the world walking. You know, you're going to have a lot of naysayers, a lot of people that say, Betty, why don't you go get in the gym? Why don't you go lift some weights? Why don't you go run? Well, if you hate running, Betty, and you've never lifted weights in your life, there's one thing that you do every day already. You walk. Walking is one of these things you can do every day. I've done it for the past, 130 days in a row with you guys. I know this sounds shocking, but if you take away that time I was recovering from my surgery, I've been walking every day for decades. I love it. There's no one that forces me to wake up and get out of my house and walk. I just do it naturally. You have to make things that you dislike, you have to make them something that is your hobby or you like if you want to introduce them into your life. So if the only way we could stay alive was to lift weights, my goodness, some way, somehow, I would use baby steps to get good at lifting weights. Thank goodness you don't have to lift weights to have a successful, healthy life, right? Because if we did, I think a lot of us would be unhealthy. Lifting weights is fun for some people, but for some people it's not so fun, you know? I used to love when my bench would go from 185 to 205 to 215, you know? But there are some people out there that can bench 300, 400, 500 pounds. There are some legit strong people out there. Sometimes we go to the gym and we think, oh my God, I feel so weak, I feel so wimpy. Here's some good news. No one gives a poop. No one cares. If you're really overweight, I have a feeling there's some people that they're like, God, I really don't want to put on my walking shoes and start walking. I'm going to look silly. You know, sometimes we think, hey, if I'm the 350-pound woman, I think I'm going to look silly if I walk. People are going to stare at me. You know what? They're really not. They really don't care. The only person that really cares about your life other than your immediate family is you. So when I'm pleading to the world, walk with me, I'm pleading to you, okay? Some people have heard my words and have said, you know what, Jesse, I'm down, let's do this, I'll walk with you. And I'm so appreciative. And sometimes there's a lot of people that I just know, I mean, don't you guys just know there's others that want to join us, but for whatever reason, they have a hard time putting their shoes on. If you're one of these people that's been taking mental walks with me every day, hey, I like the goofy things this guy talks about, right? I like the goofy people he interviews, right? Or he has on his show. And you've been doing this mental walk with me every day because you see it as a show that you like to watch, right? My goal is to get you to put your socks and shoes on and walk, because I know in my heart that if I can get you to just walk for 2 or 3 weeks with me, guys, you'll get to the point where you love walking just as much as I do. Who can argue that six-pack Sean Ayton, he probably likes walking more than I do. He's out here walking 6 to 10, sometimes 15 miles a day. The only way you can do that is if you enjoy it. And I'd be willing to bet there was a time before he was walking that if you would have went up to Sean Ayton and said, Sean, do you think you would enjoy walking to the point where you'll be doing it for 2 or 3 hours a day in the future? I think he would have looked at you like you were crazy. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe he's been walking up his whole life, right? But I don't think he's been walking 10 miles a day his whole life. And if you can't walk, but you have a dog, take the dog for a walk. Maybe that dog was in your life to save your life, right? They say all dogs go to heaven. Well, that means that they're somebody that you should have in your life. Get that dog leash. Go put it on the dog right now. Get outside your house, start walking. If it's hot outside, that's a good time to walk. You know why? Because in the upcoming months, the temperatures are going to get cooler and cooler. And even though right now you're only able to take a 10 or 15 minute walk, in 10 or 15 days when it's 2 or 3 degrees cooler than it is now, you're going to be able to walk half an hour. And then another month from that, when it's 5 or 10 degrees cooler, right, we're in the fall all of a sudden, then all of a sudden you're going to be able to walk an hour a day, and you're literally going to be on a pace that in 2 or 3 months you're going to be able to eliminate 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds off of you, and you're going to have a walking routine. I have taken people that just 130 days ago were not walking, at least not regularly, and now they have a daily walking routine. Now, could they all be fibbing and lying, and in reality none of them were walking? Yeah, I suppose, right? It's real easy to write, hey, I walked 1.5 miles today. You might not have left the house. But the point is, when you tell people I walked 1.5 miles, whether it's true or not, they're probably going to assume it's true, and it might lead them to walking. So even if you're bullshitting, put down in the comments, I walked 4 miles today. And then if you put LOL, I'll know that you're bullshitting. So maybe keep the LOL off there, right? If you started walking with Walk Talk Vent, and part of the reason you walked was because you saw a comment and you said, hey, I want to be a part of this community, please let me know. A lot of people want to walk, but they don't want to be the only person. I will not abandon you. Venters don't abandon people. We will be here with you. And just because there's people that every day, like Elaine and Mala, they say good morning and talk, there are also silent venters that once every 2 or 3 months they pop up and they say, hey, I'm still here, I want to say hello and good luck to all the venters. We have silent venters, so even though there's about a dozen of us that are walking and constantly talking about it, there's probably another 24 that are walking and never say a comment. And maybe that's you. You don't have to be actively commenting. Just get your shoes on and walk. That's the important thing, you know? And there might even be a day where you decide, you know what, Jesse got me into walking, but I don't like hearing Jesse's voice every day. I'm going to listen to my favorite music today. You know what? If your favorite music gets you walking, I'm cool with that. That's the important thing, okay? As much as I would love you to watch me every single day, if the only thing that motivates you to walk is to listen to Rocky music, right? Or to listen to Karate Kid music, or whatever music you like to listen to, go for it. That's important, you know? And if you need me to sing, you know, you can't hurry, love, you'll just have to walk, I'll sing for you, okay? That should be Billy Joel's song, you can't hurry, love, you'll just have to walk, right? Michael Jackson and Bobby Brown's song, I wanna walk with you all night. I think that's Michael Jackson, right? What about Bobby Brown? My heart belongs to a walker, he's my only love. All right? Sing to yourself. If singing makes you happy, put on some music, sing out loud, start walking. When you walk by neighbors and they say, hey, good morning, how you doing? Say, hey, put your shoes on, let's go for a walk. And you know what? You might just spark up a new friendship, you know? Now, if your neighbor has crazy eyes and they always look like they're ready to do something devious, you know, maybe don't talk to those neighbors. But either way, I want you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful life. You're only 1 or 2 walks away from starting that. Can you be happy without ever walking? Of course. But if you're happy already and you add a walk to your daily routine, you're going to be writing me comments in the future that say, I'm so glad that for whatever reason I let you talk me into putting my shoes on and walking that day. Hey Joe, your wife is contemplating divorcing your punk butt. Why don't you get your shoes on and go for a walk? And instead of being depressed, why don't you come up with a plan? Okay? And a good plan. Come up with your best plan. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days and 2 or 3 walks. Come up with a plan. Hey Beth, your kids are going through troubles. You don't know what to do. Nobody has any answers. Why don't you go take a walk and see what beautiful ideas your brain can come up with? Because I'm telling you, when your feet hit the floor and you get that pumping action of your legs and it pumps blood into your heart and that blood gets flowed up to your brain and to your extremities, I'm telling you, you'll find that you're inspired. You'll find that you come up with ideas that are just incredibly good. And when you put those ideas into practice and you apply them, they work. But you have to give your brain the ability to come up with these ideas. And I'm telling you, the best way is not to sit there on your couch stewing over your problems. The best way is to go outside and tell your brain, Jesse, how do I tell my brain? Bob, your brain is you. So all you have to say is, Bob, come up with a way. I don't care if it's today, tomorrow, or next week, but give me some sort of idea and plan on how I can change this mess that I'm in. And I'm telling you, your brain will come up with some amazing ideas. If any of you over the last month or 2 or 3 has had to deal with any real life, real world problems, and on your walk you came up with some proactive ideas, whether they worked or not, let me know down in the comments. The most important part of the walk might not be the physical aspect at all. It might be the mental aspect. How can we get to the point where we can handle problems better? How can we get to the point where we can live longer? How can we get over ourselves and our ego waiting for Joey to give us a call? How about we pick up our phone and give Joey a call? And if you have a friend that you haven't gone out with for a long time, call them. There might be a reason that I'm telling you this today. They might be waiting for somebody to call because they might be at the end of their rope. Pick up the phone, give those old friends, those old family members a call, connect with them, meet with them, be in people's lives, because there will be a time in the future where you'll wish you had. You know, right now you've got your husband, you've got your kids living with you. You know, all these things are wonderful in your life. Well, guess what? One of these days the kids are going to move out, and one of these days the husband is probably going to start having health issues, right? knock on wood, I don't want your husband to have health issues, but the point is, you can go from being on top of the world one day to all of a sudden you're in a real mess the next. And your best friend, Trudy, might be going through those same situations right now. Why don't you pick up the phone and start a walking tradition with Trudy? Call these people. You know, Rochelle walks almost daily with her sister, and at least a couple times a week they bring the nephew with them, right? They bring her sister's son. That is a family tradition that you're starting, Rochelle, and guess what? In the future, you and your sister are going to be able to strategize. You're going to be able to say, you know what? We need to save up our money so we can go on this trip, or we need to do this, that, and the other. And when you're on your walk, you're going to be able to come up with some good plans and some good strategies together. So if that's the case, why not take advantage of getting out there on that walk today? And Rochelle, you do walk all the time. Good for you. A lot of people that walk every day, they're happy. I'm telling you, I see your comments. You guys are happy. It's almost like there's not a bad day out there. Keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And if you keep doing what you're doing, I promise you, the pounds are going to start to come off. And if you keep working on your problems while you're on your walk, you're going to start eliminating some problems. And guess what? Once that happens, I'll have you completely converted. And pretty soon you'll be telling all your friends and family, you need to get on a walk. Have a beautiful day.